happy June. It is like such a beautiful day here in Tennessee. Let me know where you're coming in from. If you're joining me live, I would love to hear from you in the comments. If you're watching the replay, please still feel free to comment. I will keep an eye on that. And also feel free to DM me always if there's any questions that you have about live streaming, about LinkedIn, about StreamYard. I am here to answer any questions in my DMs, in the comments, whatever. I think that my space is kind of an experimentation zone for live streaming. So here's where I'm kind of like doing the this is a new feature. Let's see how it works. For example, one of those features is like the intro outro video that I keep hoping will work how I want it to work. But because it takes a second to connect to LinkedIn, when you hit stream at the very beginning of the StreamYard stream, it will automatically play that video, which is great, but it doesn't connect to LinkedIn quick enough for the audience to see the entire intro video. So there's still, some workarounds that we have to do even with these new fun features. So as always, Tosh is behind the scenes. Thanks, Tosh, for being here. It's always kind of fun to have to get myself to do a live stream every month. I was just speaking with a client last week about how sometimes this is the only content I put on LinkedIn, and that's not great, but it has kept me consistently at least once a month showing up here, reminding people, hey, this is what I do. Here's the platforms that I work with, and here are some like frequently asked questions. So that's what we do here is every month I'm kind of taking notes for you to any updates for StreamYard, any updates on LinkedIn, YouTube, those kind of live streaming spaces is what I'm keeping an eye on for you so you don't have to. And that way you can ask me questions. Maybe if there's anything that you've tried or want to try, hey, you haven't been able to. So I'm going to just dive into StreamYard updates first, and I'm going to do YouTube and Zoom next, but I'm going to leave the best for last because LinkedIn has had a huge update this month that I'm excited about. I'm nervous about to see how it kind of plays out. And so we're going to kind of talk about the new creator space that they're starting to roll out, which I have no idea what to expect, but I'll share what I know about it so far. So first of all, with StreamYard, the latest updates this month is that you can now download the chat, which is really cool. That's so that you can see who's chatted, who's commented, who maybe if there's questions that you weren't able to get to, you can just hit export chat at the end and it gives you a TXT file. So I will say I've done it a couple of times and it's kind of, what's the word? It's not like an easy to read format. It's kind of just like a hodgepodge mess of words. But still, I used it last month to download the chat and then search in it for somebody had said something about what we should stream next. So that was kind of cool. That was nice as I just did the like Control F or whatever find feature on Mac to kind of like sort through the comments being like, I remember somebody saying something. So that was good. I think they probably, I'm hoping, will kind of make that a little bit easier to read in the future. Hint, hint, StreamYard, if you're listening, that would be awesome. So that's one exciting update. The other one is you can now pick what part of the music you want to showcase on the stream. So, for example, I had one podcast who they have like a really cool podcast intro music. And it makes sense for a podcast, but for a live stream, it would be really long and kind of weird. Whereas on the podcast, you can kind of like overlay the music and the voice and whatever. So I liked this because I could kind of just like adjust what part would play when we were going live and make it a lot easier. So I'm excited about that for the background music. Something that I didn't mention last month, but I'm pretty sure was a thing last month, was that now when you put comments on the screen, it'll gray it out in the comment section. So it helps keep track of like who has been commenting, whose comments have been seen on screen. Me and hosts who are comfy with me, we sometimes have a little bit of a funny exchange because I'll put a comment on screen, they won't see the comment on screen, then they'll put the comment on screen, and then I'm removing it anyways. So it's just kind of nice as like, okay, this person's comment has been up on the screen, now it's grayed out, and the ones that are still bold are the ones that we haven't shown on screen. So I'm loving that feature. A few things last month, in case you missed it, that I think are really, really important is the QR code. Here is an example. I can't remember. I'm always like mirrored. So here's an example. This is a QR code to my LinkedIn Learning course. It was easy for me to make in StreamYard, so I'm not making it in Canva, then uploading it to StreamYard like I was before. I love this because I've been able to add QR codes for guests who just like at some point mentioned something we hadn't planned for, maybe like a book that they've written that we didn't know about, or their website that we didn't have queued up. It's been really easy for me to add. You can also show the name of it. So let me show you what that looks like too. So now I have it up where it says LinkedIn Learning Course. So that way you can kind of title the QR codes too. Loving that. We also did the poll version. Last week we tested it out, and I've now used it with 3 more clients. I'm loving it. I think it's so fun. It's been a great way to get people to interact. It makes kind of like a easy buy-in for people to comment without having to like ask a question or feel awkward, because I always think that when somebody joins your live stream who has never joined your live stream, they don't know if you're going to talk back to them. They don't know if you care that they're there. They don't even know that you're live. They think, is this live? Is this not really, really live? So I think the polls are a really fun way to be like, this is live. They can immediately see the bar move when they put in their number. And it's been really fun for the past month for me to kind of play around with that with different clients of mine. So loving that. That is our StreamYard section. I'm going to move on to YouTube because not very much going on in YouTube this month. YouTube now allows for dual streaming. So meaning you've got, wait, that's not the right way to say it. That's how they said it, but I think I would say it differently. So you've got like landscape version, and then you got like vertical version. So now your live streams can pop up in the shorts feed, kind of like TikTok, where it'll kind of come up while people are scrolling. Very cool. The other thing is they are now doing AI highlights from the live stream. And I'm going to actually test this out after this live stream to see what it looks like. But it's similar to Opus Clip, or the like StreamYard has a function as well where it just decides what was the best part of your live stream and kind of does it, AI edit kind of thing. So I'm interested to see what they pull. I'm kind of interested to do it on StreamYard and on YouTube and see, which ones, if they're the same, if they're different, that kind of thing. So I'll keep you posted on that. Zoom also just started featuring like a live stream button on the bottom. I was just telling Natasha about this before we went live. I'm really interested in it. I'm probably going to try it the next time that we stream, because everybody loves Zoom and everybody wants to use Zoom because you're usually already paying for Zoom. But Zoom usually has some, the last time we did it, it's like super janky to get it to actually live stream on LinkedIn. You had to like copy the key and put it into the event. And then when you hit live, you also had to hit go live on LinkedIn. And I was very glad it was my live stream and not a client's, because it was kind of a train wreck. It was interesting. So we're going to try that again, because it looks like Zoom may have made that more easy, which I will love. I love that for everybody, because obviously people feel comfortable on Zoom for the most part. And so I would push back that they don't get all the fun, cool features that the other like Restream and StreamYard have, but we will see. We will see how that goes. All right. So my final update is about LinkedIn. We're keeping today short and sweet. So we've already covered the other platforms. We're going into LinkedIn. This one's a biggie. They have created a creator space, is what they are calling it. Right now, it is invite only. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what it looks like. I've not been invited, obviously, but I've seen the article about it and I'm very interested, very hopeful that some of the really like awesome creators that I get to work with get that invite so we can kind of see what it looks like in there. But I'm imagining it kind of looks like the ad space on LinkedIn from what I've seen in the screenshots that they've shared. I'll share after we're live, I'll share a link to the article. Here, I'm going to comment it for everybody on Facebook or on YouTube, but I can't comment to LinkedIn. So this is the link. I will add it to LinkedIn after. But this is the article that I came across this month that I thought was really, really, really interesting. So I'm just going to read a little snippet from it. It says, rolling out this month, the Creator Marketplace helps creators become more discoverable to brands who are looking to connect and partner with credible voices on LinkedIn. So basically, there's going to be like a bunch of really awesome creators who have a lot of history of, credible, awesome content. And then there's going to be brands who are wanting to connect with them. So, for example, if StreamYard wanted to like partner with somebody who's using StreamYard, then they could throw an ad in there or they could work out that deal together. It looks like it's mostly pairing people versus like, I don't know. In my mind, I was thinking maybe it's like, oh, like I'm willing to promote this or something. And anyways, it looks like it's more of like a connection thing versus like I don't know how I'm not making a lot of sense with what I'm trying to explain with that. But what I'm saying is that you can now connect more easily with them. So another thing I thought was interesting, it says it can include things like brand partnerships, which is kind of what I was thinking, but also like to promote for speaking gigs. And I don't know how that would look, what that would mean, but if you're a speaker, that should be something you're kind of keeping an eye on as well. And then there was a few other features that they talked about that some of them I'm kind of aware of, some of them I'm not. They called one brand link. And in that article, there's links to each of these features so you can kind of learn more about each one. So brand link is they're basically adding an ad to the beginning or the end of your video. So I think, does TikTok do this or is it Facebook? Where it's like you watch the video and then immediately it goes into an ad. That's kind of what is happening here. I'm not so excited about that one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it feels like we're going back to like TV commercial days a little bit. So yeah. And then we've got Top Voices 360. Unclear about that one. I think it's similar to like they're just going to help like brand certain videos. So like if this was branded by or if this was sponsored by StreamYard, maybe there would be the duck or something like that. One that I'm very excited about though is called Advice Sessions. So this is basically a link to one-on-ones in your LinkedIn profile. So if people are like, "Oh, I know that Shelby knows about live streaming. I would like to talk to her." Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen is there would be a link where you can just click, I want to talk to Shelby, and then it would take you to some sort of way where you can get paid and add it to your calendar kind of thing. I think that's really cool. Can see that being very, very helpful to a lot of coaches, a lot of, like, honestly, a lot of different places could really utilize that. So I'm excited about that. I think a lot of us have used Calendly or other platforms like that in the past. I don't know. It would be interesting to see how that kind of competes. So the advice sessions is one that I think you should keep an eye on as well. I'm not going to say who's watching my streams, but as for me, a regular person with a small following on LinkedIn, that's the one I'm most excited about is the advice sessions because I could see myself using that. There's times in my life where I can't take on clients, but I could hop on an hour or so call. And if I had an easy way for people to like see my price, pay, do a session like from LinkedIn, that's pretty cool. I'm very, very excited about that. So I will also link the article for that one because that was one that I thought was pretty relevant for probably my following, my audience, myself. And I will make sure to add that on LinkedIn as well for you. So short and sweet today. That is what we've got going on over in the LinkedIn sphere. I will keep an eye on it because I'm very excited about it. I'm very hopeful for some of the creators that I work with. I know I'm not going to be invited to it, let's be real. But there are people who I work with who I think could definitely be invited to that. It would make a lot of sense and it would be very beneficial for everybody. So I'm excited to see how that looks moving forward. So again, thank you. If you have been here live or if you are watching the replay, please feel free to drop any questions that you might have in the comments or send me a DM. I am here every month talking about updates in the StreamYard space, live streaming space on LinkedIn and YouTube specifically. That's kind of our space where we hang out and the channels that we like the most in our business. So please let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you next month. Thanks.